Good evening and welcome to Community Coffee Talk at Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the globe. Today, we are starting this program about Community Coffee Talk, how a community achieves success. We have honorable guest today, Member of Parliament, MP Iqra Khalid, and also Samra, Zafar, author and writer and well-known personality, and also Saleem Chaudhry, engineer, entrepreneur, well-known to all the community. He has a TV show. So I welcome you all. I am going to introduce, first of all, Member of Parliament, Iqra Khalid. She's a Member of Parliament from Mississauga, Erin, currently serving her second consecutive term. She served as the chair of Women's Caucus and chair of Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights. She also served as a member of the International Human Rights Subcommittee of the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development. As a Member of Parliament, she has conducted studies on contemporary human rights issues, including online hate, human trafficking in Canada and around the world. Participated in the vetting process for federal judges and spoken out on human rights crises of minority groups such as Rohingya. She also founded the Mississauga Erin Women Council, a group of 12 dynamic and accomplished women who advise her on the issue facing women and girls in Mississauga. She also conducts regular town halls and informative seminars on a wide range of topics, including mental health, seniors issues, community safety, immigration, opportunity for youth and newcomers to Canada. Welcome, MP Iqra Khalid.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction.
So I would like to use this, say a few minutes, 1 minute, anything you want to say, then I'm going to introduce the other participant.
Absolutely. I will keep it brief because I do want to hear from our other panelists here. I know both of them are very esteemed personalities who have done wonderful work in our community. It's really great to be here, Tahir Qureshi Sahib. I have watched you over my past 6 years here in Mississauga, Erin, serving our community. I've watched your work and I really appreciate all of your efforts in bringing the community together, whether it's through real estate or through interfaith projects or through community building exercises. You've raised wonderful children who have now become very well-functioning members of our community, who are again giving back. And I can't begin to say how much I and the community appreciates all that you do for us. Thank you. It's going to be a good conversation.
It's my honor to know you, and I tell you, you have inspired so many youth, boys and girls, to be leaders in different fields, and we will talk about that in our program. And we are really proud of you being our voice in the House of Commons. Thank you for your service to Canadians. Now, Samra Zafar is an award-winning, internationally renowned speaker, best-selling author, and educator for gender equality, equity, and human rights. She has been recognized among the top 100 most powerful women in Canada. Wonderful. And a top 25 Canadian immigrant. That's wonderful. She served as a governor of the University of Toronto, a celebrated ambassador for Plan International, and a board director for Women's College Hospital Foundation. Her book is a national bestseller and named among CBC's best books of 2019. This book is now being adopted to a premium TV series. Welcome, Samra. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Thank you so much for having me, Tahirji. And it's just so wonderful to be among such honorable people today. I'm truly honored that you invited me. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, this community is really about unity. It's about coming together, inspiring each other, speaking up for change, creating dialogue that empowers others, and it's all about creating that collective resilience. Like we all rise together, and the more we come together and learn and share, the more we all rise. So I'm really honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and especially in the vicinity of Iqra, who's a close friend for a long time now. So every time I see you, I'm just like, yay! So it's truly wonderful to be here, and I'm eager to share, but even more eager to learn from all of you today.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great honor for me that you join us. We never spoke before. I don't know, but
I have known of you, and I was thrilled when you reached out to me.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad that the idea again is that to find the leaders and see they have set an example of achieving success, and share that wisdom and knowledge with our fellow community. We're going to define the community, and then it benefits us because it brings pride to all of us when a community is successful and they are when united. And we're going to learn from you what are those elements that make you so successful and you achieve success. And then we will share that knowledge with our audience so we can help our community to build success for all of us. So now I'm going to also introduce you to Mr. Saleem Chaudhry. He's a personal friend of mine, and he has helped me in many charity projects because he's an entrepreneur. He has electronic appliance stores. He helps our charitable things, so he gives lots of discount to us. So he's well known. He's an engineer. He has a businessman. He also helping fellow engineers. They come from Pakistan and other countries to make sure they don't give up their dreams, so they can try to acquire new skill set in Canada and they become engineer. If they believe themselves, he will motivate them and igniting them, educating them to become that. So I want to ask Saleem to say something about yourself and tell us what you're doing, and then we start the program.
Thank you very much, Tahir Bhai, and I feel pride to be like in the panel along with MP Iqra, Khalid, and Samra. And the basic concept, like say from my university times, like my motivation is we can succeed if we as a community can succeed. Over there, I was like part of Students' Union back in the University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore. But then I moved to here and I did my master's from California University with distinction, came to Canada. I had like from my ancestors, the business skills. So I used all those things along with the business to, do my, personal achievements in that direction. But basic point, I always figured it out as I'm the president of the UT Alumni Association here, that we have to bring all the engineers to their trades so they can contribute towards the Canadian society, that down the road after 10 years, when people see the engineers in this community, especially from Pakistan, they can feel pride on them that, these are the people who are hardworking, who contribute positively. And along with other things, we want to highlight our, like say, contribution towards, especially in Canadian society, in a way that they look towards Pakistanis and they say these are the technical people who can do better things for our society. So that's the main aim. And inshallah, as a group of engineers, we are quite successful. We have placed so many good fellows to their own fields. We have directed them to do certain professional engineering courses. And alhamdulillah, as a community, we are doing inch by inch better things every day.
So the purpose of the community coffee talk is to bring that talent together and help and share the knowledge and experience with others. So not only we achieve success in one particular area, because I can see sometimes we have a focus on politics and voting only. There are so many fields that we can help. And this is where the whole idea is to begin the community and give a different perspective. So the first question I have is, what is community, right? So in my opinion, the community is a common unity where many people having a same mindset comes together, create some rules and regulations, bylaws, how the community has evolved, and from small group grows up and then become a city and then is province and we go to the federal level. So we set up some rules. We have a common interest in things and we took together. So I'm not going to specifically say something because our community, diverse community, ethnic diversity. So I'm going to ask MP Iqra Khalid, what is, because you've been successful in a more competitive riding, and you have so much following. So what is the success, and what do you think is a component of the community that make you so successful?
Thank you so much for that very complicated question. I think it's an important question for people to understand, because we refer to community so much in a lot of the work that we do. For me, my community is the Mississauga Erin Mills community, which is our neighbors, our small businesses, our local churches and mosques and synagogues, individual Canadians that live in this area where over 43 different languages are spoken, wow. Where we send our schools to the same, we send our children to the same schools. We live in that same neighborhood. We play in the same parks. And finding that unity that you spoke of is really about, our economy, our shared experiences of life, and kind of building upon that. I think that there's also another community or different aspects of community that we can talk about, and that is what I refer to as hyphenated Canadians, and that could be the Muslim Canadian community, or it could be the Pakistani Canadian community, or the Indian Canadian community, where that there's a level of shared identity that we use to build upon, that we use to connect with one another. And again, it is just as important as the Mississauga Erin Mills community, as the Ontario community, as the Canadian community. And that's a lot of the work that I do is finding bridges, finding ways to facilitate between these different communities so that we can have a stronger riding of Mississauga Erin Mills, and a stronger city, a stronger province, and a stronger country.
So, so basically they're interwoven between different diverse communities. You have to deal with all of them. You have to understand them. You have to work with them. You have to guide them, help them, and listen to them. So basically, it's a interwoven between our diversity, right? So we start very specific to one, because you are member of parliament and you are representing everyone.
I do, and as I said, 43 different languages are spoken in my riding. But there are some commonalities between everyone, right? Yes, when we say that our diversity is our strength, we focus on our commonalities. We focus on what unites us as opposed to what divides us. And we really build upon that unity. As a member of parliament in my riding, that's really what my number one aim and my goal is to find those unifying avenues to build stronger bridges amongst us.
Fantastic. Samra, you want to say something about, what do you think about what MP Iqra has said? What is your experience?
She's put it so eloquently and beautifully, and I'll just, I echo everything that she said, and I'll add sort of where my, definition of community has always been about values. And when you connect on values, when you connect on the shared humanity that we all have inside of us, then all the perceived differences, like color of our skin, or where we come from, or what language we speak, or what faith we practice, or what gender we identify with, all of that sort of transcends into insignificance, because that humanity that connects us and unites us is so much more powerful than anything that is supposed to divide us. And it's really about that common purpose. And community is based on humanity, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're in this world to learn and grow and share together. None of us are here to do it alone. None of us are meant to do it alone. We are stronger together. And, certainly in my life, as I've gone through adversity and challenges, and the community that I found that really stepped in for me, and whether they were, when I was studying at the University of Toronto, Mississauga, those were the students that took care of my children when I went to class, or when I went to court, or one of my 5 jobs, or whether it was my professors, whether it was friends like Iqra at that time, or whether it was, other people who really pulled in for me. That was my community. And that, they say that it takes a village to raise someone. So when everybody in the village, everybody in that community comes together, they believe in paying it forward, they believe in giving back, they believe in empowering each other, that is when we all rise, because that is where our true power lies. Our true power lies in empowering each other. And resilience, like I said before, is not individual, it is collective. So the more we connect with each other, the more resilient and strong and successful we all will be. So that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, this is what I have said before in the past in my conversation, is that if you want to feel proud of your community, the community has to be successful. Individually, we all of us have our own tremendous good stories, our success story, but it is only isolated. Nobody knows about it. But if we have our children, grandchildren are successful, our brother, sister successful, look at what impact that MP Iqra has on when there was a need for a voice on Islamophobia and M103. Who stood for it? Nobody except Iqra. We have many members of parliament, but she stand up against all the threat. Thousands of people calling. She has, we salute her for standing up to this. This is why is when you are a leader, you're fearless. You're not afraid about your life. You're saying, principally, you stand for the principle and you have the courage and guts to do it. And she has proven herself. And this is called leadership. When we talk about leadership, and I 100% agree with her, what she said. I remember 2015, on 15 March, on my birthday, when the election was happening, first time when the former Prime Minister Harper it was 2015 was a very bad year for Muslim. So I did a hate crime conference at Neil Rowan Auditorium. So I said, I was crying when I said, my family include all Canadians. My community includes entire ethnic diversity. I am not complete without you. This was my saying. I said that. I share it later on. So we are diverse. We need each other. We rely on each other. Imagine we have 189 different nationalities, our fabric of our unity. So this is where we are. We drive from it. I do believe that our community, if we call it our community, we need to intellectually compete. I'm very aggressive, and I want our youth to prepare themselves, compete intellectually. And that's what my goal is, this coffee talk, community coffee talk. So Brother Saleem, your turn now. I am so proud of you that you are bringing the energy, the talent, the engineers to come forward and do it right and make a contribution. They're already doing a lot of contribution, and we to bring them to community coffee talk so they can share their experience and knowledge, what innovation, manufacturing, development they are doing. I work with National Research Council and many other things that I did, so I'll share with you. And we need to bring the talented people up so it motivates and encourages other people. So I want you to say something about what we are talking here.
Thank you for the time. I will continue from respected MP Iqra Khalid. There are different avenues of contribution when we talk about the community. Like on political front, she's our leader. We are proud of her, and she's doing amazing work. Like Samra did amazing work, like as a family, would work and those things. I take it like one step a day, in a way that, say, being an engineer and having connection with most of the engineers who are from Pakistan, from NED, from UT Lahore or UT Peshawar. The engineers were sitting in different pockets, and wherever they were sitting, they were doing some odd jobs. Some people were doing the professional thing. The missing was the connection between them, and why we want to connect them together, just for the betterment of our next generations.
Yes.
Because if one engineer is successful, one family is successful, they will become icon for the next generation. And this is how we are doing day-to-day things. We connect them. We have our internal procedure that we mentor them like one-to-one. That, okay, you can do these positive things, and this will have that much impact on your family and plus Canadian community. So when we talk about like general Canadians, that, okay, we have to become icons for the next generation. The second step, what we, as a community, I feel that, we have to work diversely, like say in various avenues of the society, political sector, education sector. We have to teach people, like we have to connect with the society. We have to follow the laws of the land. We have to learn them. We have to contribute politically towards these cities, to our, like, say, ridings and towards the national level. So Canadians, they recognize us that we are the people who are positive, who do good things for the society, and we care for our next generation. And these are the three things, if we can inculcate into our next generation, into our system, definitely as a community, we will be successful, inshallah.
So Iqra, Khalid, we're going to come back to you. What is the leadership? What kind of leadership we should have in the community? You know, everybody is leader, okay? We're not going to complain about it, but we're going to define what leadership is. So when they say, I'm a community leader, I personally believe the community leader is that build the community capacity. Capacity building is, in my opinion, is a leadership where generically everybody benefit from that idea or idea that converts into a tangible building or process or community or service or building or whatever. So are we really building capacity of our community, or are we building just too many leaders? So can you define us about leadership?
Thanks for that question. I'll talk about two different things.
Sure.
First and foremost, in my opinion, I think leadership is ownership. When you take ownership of an idea of that you need and that you think you have a solution for, and you rally and you make sure that that idea or that solution is seen to completion. The second thing I'll talk about is a bit controversial. So it's the thoughts that I've been thinking about recently, and that is I'm not sure if you watched Trevor Noah, but he did a talk once, and he spoke about what he called the black tax, which was when somebody from the African American community, in his example, became successful, it was then put as an incumbent or as really mandatory on that successful person to bring up the rest of the community as well.
Yes.
And I've been thinking about that and to what level people like community leaders today, what level of responsibility do they hold to ensure that, for example, the Pakistani Canadian community or the Muslim Canadian community are pulled up with that person. And I think that my ultimate answer so far has been that it's twofold. The person who is representing the community, in my example, or is showing leadership in some way, definitely has a responsibility to their fellow identifiers, to fellow Canadians, to support them. But I think that responsibility also lies. It also lies in the community to support this person or to support this idea or this ownership of this person who is transcending, who is leading the community on this specific issue. Without that partnership, it is difficult for not only people to become leaders within a certain community, but it's also difficult for people within that community to become leaders.
I will add this to a little bit to that, is the leader is that has a following. How the following is created is the contribution or effort he or she has done creating a following. Because when people go out and I don't want to talk too much politics, but let's say people go on election, say, come on, give me vote, and they disappear next 4 years. If a person has built from bottom up, from the riding, let's assume they want to run a politics, for example, because very common, everybody talk about politics, right? There's so many ways of leadership. Samra wrote a book, so she's a leader, So idea is the leader has always following. He or she learns to lead how a crowd of people, and crowd of people that are following a leader is because he or she has done something, they're following him. And that grows because word of mouth is more powerful than distributing flyers at the election or any event. So I believe...
I must contradict you, Tahir bhai. I feel that leadership has to be, effective leadership has to be based on issues that are of importance to community. You know, I take Samra as an example, who's been working diligently, tirelessly to talk about gender-based violence, to talk about domestic abuse, to raise those issues, to empower women, especially within the South Asian community. And that is leadership, in my opinion, the ability to pull people up, to have them engage, to have them understand, and then to also have them work to join you in a partnership on combating the issues that matter most to our community.
Like I said, you know, it was a given example. I didn't mean to be isolated politics. What I'm saying is that politics is one where everybody run toward it. Whereas you just rightly so appointed that gender equality or other poverty, many other issues, social, economic issues that affects us and people can take a lead. And Saleem brother he's doing engineering side, which is, I love that, because that's kind of thing that I'm looking for leadership, where people are saying, I know this much, I have a moral obligation and a social responsibility to share with somebody. So Samira, what do you think about what just MP Iqra said? What is your idea?
You know, she put it so
about leadership.
You know, when I hear the word leadership, right? Leadership is not about job titles. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
There's a bit of a lag.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Hello.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Technology issues, right?
Yes, we can.
Is it good now? Okay. So as far as, you know, I always say about leadership, that leadership is not about job title. Leadership is not about job titles or hierarchies or, what kind of level you have or your success or your money. It's nothing about that. Leadership is about creating change, creating an impact in other people's life. Leadership is not about us. Leadership is about others, right? So it's about serving. It's about putting a common goal, a purpose, an issue in and embedding that in your life and embedding that as your cause, and then speaking up for change and leaving a legacy behind. You know, when we are leaving this world, what are people going to remember us for? What is the change that we created? What are the lives that we have touched? You know, what is the impact that we've left behind? What is the difference we are making in our day-to-day lives? And that's why leadership is not about big things. You know, yes, I've written a book and yes, I speak around the world, but the essence of it is every time I go on stage, every time I do a talk, every time I, write something, or when I'm working on my next book, the essence of it, the purpose is, this gives me an opportunity to touch more lives. Maybe there's one more life I can touch. Maybe there's one more person I can empower. Maybe there's a little bit more of a difference that I can create. And that is what leadership is. And you can practice that in little ways in your everyday life. You know, even somebody who stops at the side of the street and smiles and offers a coffee to somebody else and sits with them and shows them that they are not alone, that is leadership. Even someone who's bringing in a few people in their in their living room over chai and samosa and talking about some pertinent issue, like how can we help? How can we do something? Maybe go volunteer somewhere. Maybe create a community for empowering minority groups. Those in itself, those are also leaders. So we associate leadership with titles and stuff, but leadership really is a trait. It's about helping others, and it's about really building and empowering people through a sense of purpose, an issue that matters, and lifting people up. So you can be a leader whether you help one person or you help 1 million, but that is really the essence of it.
I use various terminology, givers gain. Basically, you're a leader, you give, and you gain because recognition that somebody, and especially when people achieve success, that only proves that they are in the right path. it doesn't stop them because they're a leader and they're successful because they're motivated, they're passionate, they believe in themselves, they inspire other people, and they're not looking for recognition. But if somebody does give them, they say, hey, it tells me that I'm doing the right thing. And
I'll add to that a little bit, like success, if we think of ourselves, like whether it's Iqra, whether it's myself, whether it's you, or whether it's Saleem, like we are not here because we were amazing and great. That's not the only thing, right? That was the starting point. Yes, we had an ambition. We had a spark. We wanted to do something, but would we be where we are if we hadn't had people help us and mentor us and empower us along the way? No. None of us would. So that's why we have an even bigger responsibility. Success, it means responsibility. With success comes responsibility. So as we are carving a path for ourselves and as we are, striving for our own success, we also have the responsibility to carve a path for others so that they can walk in with us and behind us. And that is what leadership is about. So at the end of the day, like for example, like last year, and whatever recognition you have and everything is a byproduct of that. Like when I won the Top 100 Most Powerful Award, for me, my first thought when I got to know of that award was that this gives me a platform to empower more people.
Exactly.
Like now I can touch more people. Now, like if I can do it, others can too. And I want to show them that. So
Saleem,
that's the essence of it.
Yeah, Saleem bhai, you have 2 minutes before we take a break, so I'm going to give you about leadership.
Sorry, Saleem, we're cutting into your time.
No, that's what that was good, Samra and MP Khalid. Basic thing in leadership I have learned is that you have to take the ownership, and you have to think that what we can do as a community, how much I can do for others. That's the leadership. Like everybody is doing for themselves, some or the other. But the main point is that sitting in a society where it is valued very high, that what we can do for others, we can volunteer ourselves, we can, give guidelines to the newcomers. Like, see, I always talk about, like, say, my community, because engineering community, the reason is that I'm expert in that.
Yes.
I can do a lot of information and those things for others. That's a good thing, like, to start with that, okay, one thing at a day, like, tell people that these are the right things to do. This can bring good values to your community, to your family, to your society. So those are the things. I think being leadership, it does not mean that you have to be like, say, in the limelight, or somebody should say that, okay, that person is so good at like, no, it is that can you develop a good team? And it doesn't, when you have a good team of people around you, then individuals, they don't matter. That's the real leadership. That one day Saleem is there, next day Tahir bhai is there. This is what we have achieved in our, like, say, engineering community, that we developed a system that there are people who can help, and they will keep helping in coming days, inshallah.
Yeah, this is my objective is to build bridges. Build bridges, building a loving, caring society, youth leadership. This was my goal, and I've been working on it for a while. And only we can do it with expert people, success people like you are joining me today, to help us to bring more success in our community. And we're going to take a small break, and after that, we'll join again.
Choice Award recipients and GTA's top-ranked service provider, Dixie Electronics, authorized dealer of all major companies. Shop with a peace of mind, and low prices are always guaranteed.
I promise best customer service and lowest prices in GTA, because we beat prices from all major stores and small stores. At Dixie Electronics, our motto is, we sell quality and deliver confidence.
Dixie Electronics and Appliances, 5120 Dixie Road, Unit 11, Mississauga. Phone number 905-625-5900.
At Dame Drops told us how good Popeye's buttermilk biscuit shrimp is without us even asking.
So crunchy, buttery, just like those biscuits. Are you hungry yet?
8 shrimp, a side, and a biscuit for just $6.99.
At KM 9000, sang about Popeye's buttermilk biscuit shrimp because he was feeling it.
Shrimp, 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 shrimp. Shrimp, 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 shrimp.
8 shrimp, a side, and a biscuit for just $6.99.
Welcome to Community Coffee Talk. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm your host. We are continuing our conversation with our distinguished guest. We're going to talk, MP Iqra Khalid, how your success can be used to motivate our community to get involved with different charities, community services, professions, anything in any fields that you think that in your area that you will need people to get involved, or if you want to share some other, any offering from the federal government has for your area that people can use. Your success can be converted and motivate the community. How can be done?
Thanks for that question, Tahir. When I was younger than I am today, I used to have this quote that I had pinned on in my bedroom, and it was in my cubicle at work, and it was, "She believed she could, and so she did." And I think that a lot of what I have been able to accomplish with the help of the community, with my family and friends and my whole team, is really, I think the essence of it is conviction. Whether it is a person who is convicted in their belief in art, in culture, in health, in sciences, in research and development, in STEM, I think nurturing that conviction is one of the most important roles that I've played, whether it's through my youth council, which I've established over the past 3 years, or through my Women Council, which I've established over the past 3 years, mentorship, taking interns throughout the year in my constituency office, or if it's on the issues that I raise in Parliament. I think that conviction, the belief in your own ability to be successful at what you are passionate about, I think it is so important when we're talking about raising young leaders, when we're talking about encouraging more people to become leaders in their own right. And I can tell you, we need leaders in every single aspect of our society.
Yes.
I'll give you an example in the health sciences, where a lot of research and development is done, where health data is collected. People don't realize that our policy plans are based on the data that we collect. And if that data, it does not have an intersectional approach to it, where if we don't take into account ethnicities that are existing in our communities, or different races, etc., and the different health concerns that impact them in their separate communities, if we don't collect that data, then we don't make good policy that impacts everybody in a positive way with respect to health. And in order for us to have that 360-degree view of, as I use as an example, health, without that 360-degree view, we can't develop policy that impacts everybody positively. And that 360-degree view only comes when we have representatives or people that are sitting at that decision-making table who know, who have those lived experiences, who understand what the grassroots ground realities of Canadians are. So that is why it is so vital for example, people in the Pakistani Canadian community or the South Asian Canadian community to be very much involved in how our health research is developed and how our health policy is developed, because there are certain diseases that impact the South Asian community a lot more than other communities, as an example. So I leave that with you as a reason why we need to have better representation, more 360-degree view representation at every single decision-making table, no matter what the topic of conversation may be.
Yeah, I agree with you because when you have a data, you need the expert to analyze the data, because manipulation of data could be good, could be bad. Depends who is reviewing it, what kind of expertise that person has, what are the projection or prediction they're going to make out of the data. So one is to collecting the data. Having a data is one thing. You need a mainframe infrastructure to collect the data. Then you have a reporting requirement to connect that data into a report that give the decision maker a sort of a process to make the decision, like you said. So I really like that. I use a lot of Canadian census stats data from there for many things that I do, various fields that I'm doing. So this is very, very important for me to ignite the spirit of learning. For your information, I just started my Institute of Online Learning. It's already online. I have 3 courses there. I was talking to Brother Saleem. I'm going to do whatever I can before I go 6 feet under. So I want to do maximum of my time to share the knowledge and experience with people. So I thank you very much for your time. So I'm going to ask Samra, can you share something about your success in your field? Because everybody right now we're starting with 2-3 fields, and we're going to get more people. And what type of people we should be looking to coming to our community coffee talk, so we can ignite the conversation and people start thinking about it. Thinking is, once people are engaged, energized, and educated, I think the process will begin. The journey will begin when people start thinking about it. So I think you are helping it out tonight, okay? I'm sure you've been doing it. I know Iqra has been doing it. You've been doing it. I read your profile. But for me, as a community coffee talk, is very different than people have done different things differently. We're going to educate. We're going to share our knowledge. And Samra, your turn now. About leadership, your leadership, and how your leadership can be used by somebody else in a different fields to apply it.
Absolutely. So I will also start off with a quote. So I'm following Iqra's example here. And
she's the leader, that's why.
I'm a big believer in quotes, and I have a lot of quotes that I often put as wallpaper on my phone because, so that I can look at it all the time. And I also write my goals down. So that's another thing I'll talk about in a bit. But my favorite quote is, it's by Mark Twain, the 2 most important days of your life, the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born. And
that's nice.
Find your why. Find out what is that fire in your belly that never ceases to burn. What is that one thing that you want to achieve and you want to leave behind? What is that one thing you want people to remember you by? What is the one thing that keeps you up at night? It wakes you up in the morning. And we all have that. We all have something in us, right?
Let me add something to you before you continue. When people life is circling around food, shelter, paying for the mortgage, they have no thinking time. They are like slave of business.
I will politely and very respectfully contradict you here, Tahir, because yes, it is true that, when we are caught up in a lot of turmoil around us and we are looking at just the paycheck to paycheck routine stuff, right? That is actually the time to pause and think, what can I do? Instead of being a victim of our circumstances, we should be able to be in control of our circumstances. And we all have that power and essence within us. And I will use my life as a little bit of an example. I don't want to go into too much detail, but 10 years ago, I was almost homeless. I was broke. I had no support, no family in Canada. I had 2 very young daughters. At that time, they were 9 and 4. And I had just come out of a very, very abusive marriage. And I had zero support whatsoever. And I was facing a lot of backlash. So at that time, I was working when I first left that situation and I moved to UTM campus housing. I was working 5 jobs. I was all minimum wage jobs, including selling homemade biryani to students on campus, because that was a good way of making money. And I was raising my kids and I was going to school. And that was a time where I was really caught in that circle of like, all I could worry about was how do I get enough? How can I make my next month's rent? How can I buy groceries next week? But even during that time, the spark was there. Because I had kept it alive, even while I was in my abusive marriage and I was not allowed to go to school, I used to stand in front of a mirror and I would practice. I would hold a piece of paper in my hand and I would practice my graduation speech that I would one day deliver.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Even at that time, when there was no hope.
Did you believe in yourself?
Absolutely. That's why I'm telling you this, because
that is what has happened.
Ultimately, the hope is yours. You have to keep the hope alive. If you don't believe in your dreams, why would anyone else? If you don't respect what you want and who you are, why would anyone else? Right? If you don't fight for your dreams, how would anyone help you? So yes, you will find your tribe. You will find the people who will support you. And I did too. But it started with me. Right? So that's the example that I give to people and to young people especially. And I travel the world now to speak to a lot of youth, and they're my absolute favorite audience. And I always say, find your why, find what it is that sparks your soul. Like what it is that brings you joy in doing, and follow that. Put all your energies towards that. Be very, very loud about it. Be very vocal about it. And the success and the people and the support will follow. Like, when I came out and I graduated as the top student at U of T, and I had a choice. I could take my awards, my accomplishments, and my fancy new job, and I could live happily ever after. Or I actually sat there and thought, what happened to me is not unique. It's not just my story. This is the story of millions and millions of women and girls around the world who continue to suffer in silence, and silence is the biggest ally of any kind of social injustice. So I needed to do my part, and that's why I started speaking up. And when I saw the impact that it made, that's the day I found my why. And that's why I put all my energies into it. So all the other stuff is a byproduct. So whatever it is that you care about, find that and create your life around that, and grab life by the horns and steer it in the direction that you want it to, because all you need permission from is you.
It's in you. It's in you to do it. Now I'm going to ask Saleem, brother, we got one more topic and we can have a 2 minute for each of us, each of you to say. So Saleem bhai, what was your success story where community can use that success story to apply? You are an engineer, where analytically you can say things very articulately, right? So you can suggest things to maybe engineering community to get involved, and whatever you want to say, something that your success can help. You are a businessman, entrepreneur. You never thought you will be a salesperson, but you did. So can you share that with the community? We got about 2 minutes for you, and then we're going to go back to make the final round.
I think the best success of if you are working for the community is to develop a team, to develop a system. Like we were talking about the data, like respected MP Iqra, Khalid, and Samra always suggest that the future is artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
These government people say, no, it's coming. And, with all this, COVID-19 thing, what we can do as a community, like as a group, where we can succeed is that we have to train our next generation, whether it can be in business, it can be in the jobs, whether we are talking about the society, our city, or as a nation where we had, it all depends that how we can use that data positively, and how much trained we are, how much we can lead the world. We have good people around us. It's such a beautiful country. To be honest, if it's a heaven on earth. Like you desire something, you want to go for something, you can have it. The only good thing that we can do is let's develop on a community level, a team which can guide our next generation for the future. That what's coming, like what is important, like how we can sit together and we can pay back to our Canadian society. So, we as engineers, like as I mentioned, like I never, we never pose that, we are on the bigger level. We try to do things that step by step, one thing a day. we are teaching our kids like what courses and what direction they should take. Like we always have, small chats with our engineering families. Okay, guys, this is the future and these are the courses. Start doing this thing from your grade 7, grade 8. So be ahead of the curve. So we are trying to do our things in a way to develop a team for the better future of our Canadian society. And I don't, I never said that it is because of one person. It is because of the entire team. And we are always proud of them, like say that they are from NED, UT Lahore, or this. But we try to do it in a way that it is an accomplishment for our own community.
The saying is that if you go alone, you go so far. But if you are together, you go way far. So we want to go way far as a community. And we want to achieve success. We want to share our experience, knowledge. That's an exercise. We are also learning by this community coffee talk. Is a learning process, sharing knowledges. First thing I always did is to learn what is weaknesses I have in me. If I can rectify the weaknesses, everything else is fine. We don't need to be afraid of making mistakes, taking on the challenges.
We need to do our part. Like, we don't have to look towards other that,
and we must have dreams. We must have dream. Motivate, have a dream. Then have a vision. Plan something. Go high. I talk to my kids. I say, what do you want to be? I remember, I just going to share a small thing. I was coming from Etobicoke to Mississauga 25 years ago. I was driving a van because I couldn't afford anything. That was 25 years ago. So I did some Lamborghini left, and my kid said, oh, look at that. I love this. Who is a doctor now? I say, I'm going to have that. I say, you know what you have to do? You have to be a doctor. So I will become a doctor. I want to have that. I say, I need to have a house. I want to have this. So we were talking about how much money you need in order to have that dream to come true, right? So he's still driving my car. He doesn't have a Lamborghini yet, but I'm sure he will one day. So again, have a dream. And we want to make sure our community is provided a skill set, knowledge, experience, whatever skill we have. We're going to dig out. We're going to find the diamond in the rocks. We're going to ask them to come forward regardless of affiliation with any group. That's not our goal. Our goal is to bring community together, talent together, and help them share their knowledge with our viewers. So now I'm going to give each one of you 2 minutes to give a final message. So basically, secret of your success that you want to share, and it may help enlighten someone's life, and they achieve success, and they pray for you rest of their life. So, MP Iqra, Khalid, you are the leader, so we're going to come back to you. And I know
we're all leaders here, Tahir bhai. I have to say, I've sat in a Lamborghini, and I can tell you it is one of the most uncomfortable rides I have ever taken in my life. I think it goes to show that your own definition of success doesn't have to be what the community's definition of success really is.
Yeah.
If you feel that you are accomplished within yourself, if you are content, if you can sleep well at night, if you can have no regrets, I think you are definitely a successful person. And one thing, I know that we spoke at length about community and what is community. And I have to distinguish. We cannot in any way think that a homogeneous thought or a unified thought is what community is. I think it is a beautiful thing to have differing, complementing, conflicting ideas and ideologies, and still be able to find consensus between one another. And that is what makes Canada so beautiful. And once we hone in and understand that concept of what community is and in how to grow and build better communities, I think that we, as the community here in Mississauga, Erin Mills, or the Pakistani Canadian community, or the Muslim Canadian community, that's how we will be successful. And I look forward to continuing working hard to build that consensus amongst us here in Mississauga.
Wonderful. I tell you, you have done, I have seen you over the last 6-7 years that since you became member of parliament, I thought you will be in cabinet hopefully very soon. This is my wish to see you in cabinet. But I tell you, you are very, this is your second term, but you have matured so fast. You've been contributing so many committees and effort. I don't say too much comment, but I've been reading every single speech that you have given House of Commons, everything that you wrote. I've been reading you very carefully, and I'm so proud that you have made all of us proud. Okay, so I thank you very much. So Samra, 2 minutes for you. What is the secret? You already shared some secret about success, something that our reviewer can take it and you convert that into a success story for them.
Before I get into that,
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Absolutely, I'll keep it short. Before I get into that, I want to echo whatever you said about Iqra. And Iqra, you've been an inspiration, not for me, but also for so many women and girls everywhere. And that's really what it's about at the end of the day is by carving a path for yourself, you're also carving a path for others around you. So thank you. And it's truly an honor to call you a friend. And now getting into the secret of something that I can say. You know what? This is something that I truly, truly believe in myself. And this is the one thing that if anyone here is going to take one thing away, if any of your viewers, this is it. Always get up and try one more time. We get discouraged. We feel that we fell down, we failed, so we can't do it. But success is an amalgamation of a lot of failures, a lot of setbacks, a lot of no's, a lot of rejections, a lot of self-doubt. So confidence and courage doesn't mean it's the absence of fear and self-doubt. It's, yes, I'm afraid. Yes, I'm feeling doubtful. I'm going to do it anyway.
Thank you.
When you fall down, you have a choice. Down or you get back up. So
okay,
always
we're out of time. So Saleem, 1 minute for you now. Saleem bhai, you go ahead. Last minute.
I think I personally, out of all these things, I mean success is that how much we can contribute towards making a good society. Because God has given us a limited time to live in this world. It's not all about me and individuals. Like if we can set up our kind of a team or things, we can work together. Inshallah, we will be successful, and we are successful.
I have a small tagline for myself. You take with you what you leave behind, your legacy. Keep up the good work hard, give back to the society. This is your moral, social, civic duty to give back to society. And we thank all our medical staff, doctors, nurses, police officers for their contribution fighting coronavirus and protecting us Canadian. And we thank you very much. We salute you. We love you. Please help the food banks, help our community because they need funds. And this is a very tough time. And we really appreciate your help. May God bless you all. I thank you very much for all joining, and may God bless Canada. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.
We need clap for our, respected Iqra, Khalid and Samra.
Thank you very much, Iqra, Khalid. Thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Samra.
Thank you.